Hello everyone, my name is Yuri Kasdorp from Mouse, and we are here for the Bathurst 12 hours by Coach Dave Academy Delta. And we are here this time in the Audi. This time in a non-turbo car, but more importantly in a mid-engine car. And this car behaves quite different. It's a bit easier up the hill, because it lacks a tiny bit of power, but has a lot more traction. But it's very tricky on corner entries going down the hill. So our approach changes a bit on how we want to tackle this track. So, without further ado, let's have a look how this track looks like once we go mid-engine or rear-engine. Right. So here we are, start the lap. This time in the Audi with a mid-engine car. Unlike the BMW and the previous guide that we did. If you haven't checked that out and you want to see a front-engine perspective, I highly recommend checking that out. It's quite different here. In the mid-engine and rear-engine car, you have to be careful down the hill and corner entries. The front-engine car is much more stable down, but you have to be careful on traction. So we're in the middle of the day, very hot temps, over 100 liters in the car, tricky conditions. Turn 1 we brake just before the 50. Right, to get a good exit. To run up to turn 2, want to brake just after the entrance road on the left side. That's because of the banking, and you'll see that coming back quite often around this track. You need to make use of the banking. The right side, and brake in a straight line. And again, careful on the entry, but on the exit, we can be more aggressive. Should be easier flat out here, because again, mid-engine car. Same here. Small lift top of the hill. You can see the rear's already loose. Try to brake in a straight line. Aim for the wall. And braking in a straight line. Keep it to the inside. Throttle early. And we get to the chase. And brake really hard. Just before the 100, sorry. I like to keep it in third here. A bit more traction, especially throughout the stint. And we brake at about the 70. That's a lap around Bathurst in the Audi. Right, so here we are from the outside view to have a closer look at the lines we have to take and the banking in the track that we have to make use of everywhere. Turn 1. As I said, we want to brake before the 50, but what some people also use is the start here of the tires. It's the same as the front engine cars. The difference we can see here is we go off the brakes a tiny bit earlier, tiny bit more, because the rear tends to be unstable, and when the front grips up when the banking starts, the rear tends to step out a bit here. So that's one thing to look out for if you're running a mid or rear engine car. The rear might be a bit unstable when the front end of the car dips to the inside where there's a bit of banking on the inside here. Once the car dips, we want to be on throttle, maybe even a bit earlier than front engine, where we can push the entry more. And the rear will stick much more because the weight of the car is there much more. So very early on throttle, we'll easily handle the curb. We got the first straight, running up to turn 2. Turn 2, same as the front engine car. We want to brake right at the end of this this entrance road, or this patch of tarmac it is. I don't think it is an entrance road. Before the 50, and we want to make sure that we hit the inside right where the curb starts, because there's a lot of banking on the inside. And very important to hit this inside here, As you can see, the car drops into the banking here. And the moment the car drops into the banking, we can carry a lot more speed. The moment the car drops into the banking, back on power, and let the car trail out. When the banking goes away, we can let the car trail out all the way to the left side wall here. Then bring the car quickly as far to the right as you can to open up the braking as much in the straight line for the next hairpin. And that's going to be tricky in the mid and rear engine cars. You want to brake again from about the apex here, maybe a bit earlier to make it a bit safer, to the outside point here. You don't want to brake over this white line. If you brake over the white line, you're going to have sudden understeer on entry, and you might go straight, because the banking goes to the other side of the corner here. Want to keep the banking going to the inside. Then on the entry here, the rear tends to be very, very loose, so you need to be careful of not having too much brake pressure into the corner. And keep the car to the inside. We want to make sure that two tires, the inside tires, are running at least on this white line or over the white line. The more you go to the inside here at the apex, the more banking there is and the more grip the car will have. So you almost want to scrape the inside wall here with the mirrors without hitting it. And then, because we're running mid-engine, we can go on throttle quite early, quite aggressively, and the rail will quite easily stick here. And then, again, as long as we're on power, the rail will be stable, and we're not struggling for traction that much. That makes this corner quite easy flat, where it's quite a struggle in the front-engine cars to keep it flat, especially in these hot conditions. To run to the outside. And then again, the car handles really nice as long as we're on power. That means we only need a very tiny lift here to make the corner flat out. Get close to the inside curb there without hitting it. And then again, close to the outside wall. Tiny lift here on top of the hill. And try to bring it back on power. As you can see, this lift here on top of the hill, the moment the front tries to grip up again, because we're not on full power and the engine's on the rear wants to step away already. So I lifted a bit too much even, or too late. I should have lifted a bit earlier. And that's a very tricky part with these mid-engine cars around Bathurst, where on entry the cars are really, really unstable. And because we go up and down a lot of banking, the track starts going left and right a bit. And the banking as well. The front end grips up before the rear end does. And in this case, it makes the rear really, really unstable. So that makes the cars tricky around this track. So that's the Audi, the Lambo, for example, as well, that are always quite fast. You can handle them. Porsche as well. But they're quite unpredictable because the front end loads up before the rear. So we see that here as well. The rear starts to slide away because the front end grips up first. But we're on full throttle. We can keep the car under control. Bring the car over to the left side. And this is where it gets really, really scary in the mid and rear engine cars. Going down the hill, the front end grips up first every time, and all the weight is off the rear, where normally the weight is on the rear. We want to brake as much in the straight line as we can. We want to aim for the apex down the hill and aim for this apex. Close to the wall as we can. And the more we're turning here, the more we have to get off the brakes. And unlike the front engine cars like the BMW, this is to try to keep the rear following the front. If you're braking too much here, it's very easy for the rear to step out and hit the wall on the right here, hit the wall on the left, or anything in between. Whereas in the BMW, a bit too much brakes, or front engine cars in general, a bit too much brakes, will most likely just result in understeer instead, where you miss the apex a bit. So very, very careful. The more you hold the wheel straight, the more you can brake. The more you turn, the more you have to get off the brakes. So here in the middle again, the wheel's straight, the car straight. For the next apex, we can brake a bit more. And you want to get to the curb on the inside here, and then follow it. So we don't want to get to the curb from the outside here already. We want to get it here where the letters start. Then follow it on the inside. And then we go for cockpit cam. Right, so when you're here, you want to, again, aim for the letters on the left side. And when the track drops away, so as you can see here, it feels like I'm going to hit the wall. But when the track drops away, we automatically understeer right past the wall. And we land at the apex here. And if we land on the inside, the tracks, the more close to the wall you are, the more banked the track is. We can already go flat all the way out of the corner. So we'll show it in full speed, and it's very, very nice, a new feature to put a point on top of the hill and practice this downhill over and over a couple times and practice how exactly this feels like. So you keep it to the right side curb and then aim for the wall, and it will miss it automatically. And from the outside, it will look like this. Then we want to keep it all the way to the left here. Tiny bit of brake before the apex. Then we go off the brakes completely where we turn in the most. And then again, we want to brake in a straight line to the middle of the track at least, close to the inside white line. We don't want to open up the corner all the way to the right because the banking here on the inside makes the car turn and not the line we take into the corner. So we want to brake to the inside and then keep it very, very close to the wall here. 2 tires at least over the white line. And the closer you are to the wall, the more rotation you'll have. And then flat out, try to be close to the wall and exit for a good exit. We got the long back straight. And then we want to brake just before the 100 here. And you can brake hard again. Brake hard. And I like to keep it in third here. You can also go in second and third over the stint. It just helps a bit with the traction and helps a bit with the rear tire temperatures. And it feels slower, but mentally, the low RPMs make you feel slow, but you keep a bit more speed rolling over the curb. It feels a bit more stable for me. The third gear, get nice traction. We run into the last corner. We brake it around the 70 marker. And don't hit the curb on the inside, it's way too high. Plant the car on the outside curb. And that's the lap around Bathurst in the Audi. Alright, so there we go. That's the perspective on how you drive a mid-engine car around Bathurst for the 12 hours. If you can manage that snappy behavior on the entries, you get rewarded a lot by really nice traction going up the hill, and that will especially help later on in the stint. So, if you want to go for this direction, it's always like a viable option as well. Depends a bit on the iRacing BOP as well. It's a bit more tricky, I would say, because the most tricky parts on this track are on the downhills, on the corner entries. But if you can handle those, you get rewarded by really nice traction later on in the stint. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the Coach Dave YouTube channel, and I will see you guys there.